Friends, wish you all the best for your performance to be held in the interview, which will start shortly in the month of August. On behalf of Ananta IAS Academy, I will be informing you in this second session about how to face the interview. Interview is mostly a scared item for most of the students or candidates because they think it is very difficult to answer the questions and it is very difficult to impress upon the UPSC members. You need not think like that. It is almost like a informal meeting which the board wants to test you and to get the information from you so that you are inclined towards the civil position, because this is a all India civil service and you will be dealing with several people in the hierarchy or with the public or in general with the other states also, because we will be corresponding with the other states also regarding financial transactions, industrial growth, economic growth, agriculture sector, and with the center to request for funds and to decide the fate of the planning of your state. So the interview will be an informal meeting. Normally, the board consists of 5 members, including the chairman of that particular board. We have 10 boards normally. There are about 10 UPSC members at present, including the chairman, and each member will be presiding over one board. And the board is allotted to you about only 15-20 minutes early. And the board members also doesn't know who is coming to that board on that particular day at particular time. So you have to take all precautions to impress upon the committee within that 30 to 40 seconds time, because you are the threshold at the threshold of the Dolpur house and you are entering the portals of the famous temple, UPSC temple. And if the temple is open for you and if you are going to impress upon them in a very well manner, that would create a very good career for you, because your entire career of another 28 years or 26 years or 34 years will be decided with these 30 minutes of time in which you have to show up your own talent. So let us start with the entrance, because one of the candidates, Mr. Karthik, who appeared about 2 years back this interview, who is now presently assistant collector trainee, he had a doubt. His timing was given around 12 o'clock. So he had a doubt whether at the time of the entrance, sir, whether I should call good morning or good afternoon. I finally told him, you say namaskar, which creates both the information. So at the time of entrance itself, you be prepared when you open the door and entering the hall where the committee is meeting. Don't shut the door in a very forcible manner. It would be gently, your entrance should be in a gently manner. And when the chairman requests you to occupy your seat, then you occupy the seat. A chair will be there and there will be a table. On that side, there are 5 members in a manner, and you have a pen and pencil there to note down if you want to jot down some points. And while sitting also, don't drag the chair. Normally, some people are in the habit to go nearer to the table or forward to the table or just backside to the table. And by dragging it, it will be creating a lot of nuisance to the hall. And then while sitting also and while answering also, the body language is more important, because the body language shows the mind language. So you should be in a very comfortable position to answer the questions raised by the board, either with the chairman or the other members. In case there is another doubt also, suppose one lady member also is there, then how should I call? Whether I should say good morning, sirs, good morning, madam. Yes, you have to separately raise the good morning, madam, because she is also there. She should be greeted. Then in the body language, you have some mannerisms. That mannerism should be avoided. Looking at the main hall or looking at the upstairs or all these things, these should not be your habit. Though it is your habit, in advance, in your room itself, you sit across the table and a mirror, and you talk, go on talking, and see how the impressions are created. Then the question starts with the chairman introducing you, saying that, Mahesh, welcome. You are from Jabalpur. You have completed your MSc from so and so university. You scored about 70% marks. You had an earlier experience of working with a software company. Please sit down. He sat down, and then the question starts with familiarization of your university. The chairman asks you about the alumni of the university or the greatness of the university. Suppose if it happens to be a university like Jawaharlal Nehru University, Delhi, then it has its own history. It has its own partisan outlook of some people creating some nuisances during the earlier days, and the newspapers carrying out all this information. So be prepared to answer about your own university and your own alumni, because Nirmala Sitaraman is one of the alumni of Jawaharlal Nehru University. She studied there and she is now representing the cabinet as finance minister. Then, while answering, you should not look at the particular person who has questioned you. You look at all the other four members also. You just have a glance and then come back to this person who has asked you the question. Then, immediately after sitting, normally some people, they remove their kerchief and they wipe off their sweating on their forehead. This is to be avoided. Unless and unless it is not possible and you are fully sweating, then you can use it. But don't try to impress upon the board that you have already tired and you will not be able to answer the questions. Then some people, while answering, if they falter, they will say like this, tongue twisting, or you say tongue outside, and repenting themselves. And the shoulders movement also. Some people say they are happy and they jump the shoulders. Then sometimes if they are not able to answer one question, then they get disturbed, they get distressed, and the entire stress is on them. And next time onwards, within few seconds, they go on faltering and their mind gets blocked and they are not able to answer any question. So don't come to that conclusion, because this 40 minutes time is the time of your lifeline. Your career is decided on this 40 minutes. There are competitors. Out of the five candidates, only two candidates are selected. The other three are rejected. And you have to again come back to the snake ladder cadre. And you have to game and you have to go up, down, and write the prelims examination. So don't get distressed. And then don't get excited also. Even if you are thorough with that answer and if you want to impress upon the board, don't get very much excited and in a laughing manner or in a jovial manner. You suppose they cut a joke on you, but don't laugh at. You just smile. You respect them for opening that joke. And then, in case you are nervous and you are not able to find the correct answer for that particular question, you say, sorry, sir, I am not able to recollect. But this should not repeat 3 or 4 times. Once or twice, there is no problem. Suppose if they are having about 15 to 20 questions while the interview is on, you can say for 2, 3 questions. If you are not able to answer them, you can say, sorry, sir, I am not able to connect. Then, suppose you know the half of the answer and the rest of the answer you are not thorough, you can say politely, sir, I can, if you allow me, I will have my own information, and rest of the information I am not able to follow. Then immediately after the question is over, you don't jump at the answer. You take few seconds, few 5 to 6 seconds. You think over it. What is the corrigendum which they have asked, or which is the problem they have posed, and what is the real crux of that problem. Then you think, and in a polite manner and in a coherent manner, you give the answer. The answer should be pointed, it should not be elongated. Because if you go on talking for 2 to 3 minutes for the single question, in between there will be a sub question. Basing on your information which you are providing, they will catch hold of you, and they will say you are at fault. So don't give lengthy answers. That doesn't mean you say yes or no. You give them a rough answer which is expected of an intelligent man. Your knowledge is gauged at the level of an MSc candidate or a postgraduate candidate. You should not come down to the level of a 10th class student, because your knowledge is supposed to be of a postgraduate level and with a matured mind and with a matured information which you have got over the years. And regarding the current affairs also, while going for the interview, you go through the newspaper of the previous day, Hindustan Times or whatever newspaper you read regularly. Then be thorough with all the items, international items, national items, the regional items, and the editorial, and what is the question during those hours. Particularly for the last 3 4 days, there is an issue which is being discussed over the period, giving a free vaccination to all the persons in the country. Earlier, the decision was different. The states were advised to give the separate provision, and the center was giving to some people. But when the Supreme Court has directed or has suggested, then it has become a free. Then they may ask you why the government has taken this decision. You should be able to know the pros and cons of that particular issue, and then you, with examples and with the number of deaths or with the number of recovery numbers, with the full strength you give them. They may ask you what is the death rate of the world, what is the death rate of India, what is the death rate of your particular state where you are staying, either it is AP, Telangana, Karnataka, or whatever it is. You should have all the information with you. Then they may ask you the question regarding Covaxin, Covishield, and other Pfizer company medicines. And the recently announcement of one gentleman from Krishnapatnam of Nellore district, Anandaya, who has prepared a medicine, which was also in the news. So if you belong to Andhra, definitely they will ask you this question about Krishnapatnam. Then with Krishnapatnam, they may ask you about the port also. Since Sriharikota also is nearer to Krishnapatnam, they may ask you about the Krishnapatnam, Dugarajapatnam, and Sriharikota, and all these things. You be prepared with all this information. You take down the notes. You prepare your own notes, because all these are like supplementary questions. So be prepared to answer all of them. Then, if you are not able to follow the question, you may request politely, sir, I am not able to follow the question. Kindly repeat. He will repeat, and then you can answer. There is no hard and fast rule that you should not ask for repeat question, because you may not be able to follow them. So he will again explain the question in a detailed manner. Then the strengths and weaknesses, they will have a question, SWOT analysis. He may ask, how do you feel that you are the correct person to be selected for the civil service? What is the strength and what is the weakness? You mention yourself, about your intelligence, about your qualifications, about your previous experience, about your graduation, post graduation, and all the things in a nutshell. You should be able to tell within 2 or 3 minutes. Regarding the weaknesses also, you may have to say one or two things. Sir, I normally go with my friends' advisors, and I take them as granted for it. Like that, your weakness you can tell. Then a question may come, who is the person whom you admire very much? It can be a cricketer, it can be an officer, or it can be a politician. It is your own choice. You may say, I like Modi's performance. Or you may say, one IAS officer like Ashar Shankaran, who was very popular in Andhra. Or you may say, I like Sachin Tendulkar. It is left to you. Or you may say, I like Lata Mangeshkar. It is left to you. But you should be able to present their importance in such a manner within 10 to 12 sentences, you should mention about their qualities and why you admire that person. Then there will be definitely a question on federalism. Because most of these days, during the Modi's second government, that is the NDA's second government, the federal structure of the country has come into a questionable thing. Even sometimes the Supreme Court is giving some suggestions. Some of the states they doesn't follow the center's advice. For example, recently when the Modi ji he went on a visit during the cyclone time at West Bengal, the chief minister and the chief secretary did not attend the meeting. They wanted it to be postponed by 30 minutes. And then finally, they came and gave him only a representation of 2 pages and they left saying that we have another meeting. This is almost like dishonoring him because according to the protocol also, the chief secretary should be there. According to civil conduct rules of the government, the chief secretary, who is a member of the All India Service, he's supposed to meet the prime minister and acclimatize him with the situation which has happened. This has not happened, and he was given a show cause notice, and he was supposed to retire on 31st of May. He has retired, but on the next day itself, the chief minister has appointed him as an advisor for 3 years. This is a separate issue for the political people to discuss. But as a civil servant, whether it is good on his part to abstain from the prime minister's meeting with some cause or other, though he is in the state government and he is in the state cadre and he is liked by his own chief minister and he wants to support her. This is a questionable point. So the UPSC may ask you a question whether the action taken by government is good, whether the performance of the chief secretary on that particular issue is up to the mark. All these things are to be in a nutshell, and you should be able to give about your opinion. When they ask about your opinion, then only you should be able to mention the opinion. Otherwise, if you say what is the present situation in West Bengal, you have to narrate it in a very formal manner. Then there may be another question regarding NDA-2 government and its performance. They have already completed 2 years by May, and the government's performance has been rated by several newspapers, several channels, and there are some channels who are against Modi government. There are pro channels, and there is a PIB which releases every day the new releases of the government, and going on. And the persons and the people who are affected by this pandemic, they are agitated because at the first instance, the vaccine was not available, second dose was not available, and the migrant people, they were not able to get one nation, one ration. So all these questions and all these problems posed by them should be, in a nutshell, presented within 5 to 6 sentences. Then a question may come. Recently, Government of India has proposed to introduce elections both for the center and state. Whether it is possible or what is the pros and cons of this particular proposal. Even the Election Commission has said that it is considerable and it is most desirable to have both the elections of assembly and parliament at a time. But there are some legal problems. Some of the states have not completed their 5 years of term. Some of them have completed and they may have one more residual year. So all these questions and the national importance of that particular combined elections is to be discussed because it saves a lot of money. It saves a lot of energy by the government employees also, and it may help. But up to 71, all the elections were conducted at the same time. There was no separate election for assembly and separate parliamentary elections. After 77, it started due to the generation of several ministries. When Morarji Desai resigned, there was another party which has come into power, Janata Party or whatever it is, and there was a break in the combined elections. All these things you have to inform them. Then the recent elections in West Bengal, Assam, and other places have given an impression that the government has forced the elections on the public. And due to the pandemic, so many people have suffered. And why should they conduct the elections? Then you discuss about the importance of the elections being conducted in favor or against. You may say in favor, sir, this is a constitutional obligation. Within 6 months of the term of office is over of the assembly, it should be reassembled. So the elections are to be conducted at any cost. Or if you are not against that, the president's rule may be declared, and then the elections can be postponed. So be thorough with these answers so that the board is impressed within these 40 minutes or 30 minutes, and the luck lady smiles on the entrance of your gate itself, and you are thorough with the gate which is open for you at Mussoorie. I wish you all to get into the Mussoorie threshold, and all the best.